Hello everyone and welcome back to Football Manager 2022 and the second and final part of this experiment where we're going to see what would happen if a non-league team had £1 billion in the bank. The team that we've gone with is Maidstone Utd. If you haven't seen the first episode, it's probably worth going back to watch that one before you see this one. But for those of you who have already caught up, you can see that the team have been on a nice little upward journey really since we gave them the money. They'd already been on a pretty decent journey before coming up into the Vanarama National League South, but they did manage to get promoted from the South there and then up into League Football, I think for the first time, although I'm sure somebody's going to correct me down in the comments on that one. And you can see they did very well in League 2, lots of playoff finishes, and finally got up there as champions. Couple more years finishing in 4th place but not quite making it out of the playoffs in League 1 before doing it at the second time of asking by finishing in 5th place. More recently they've been on a slow trajectory towards the playoffs in the Championship as well. Currently managed by Scott Parker. We've seen the stadium be expanded a little bit, we've seen them get new facilities, and today we're going to hopefully see them make it up into the Premier League. Now what we are going to do today is just see how they get on with some of the cash that they've got. We saw in the last episode that they did get some new injections of cash. This wasn't me doing this, it was the Sugar Daddy. I made them a front end Sugar Daddy, and they took out 1 year £300 million sponsorship deals to get them more and more cash illicitly, some might say. And what we're going to do today is just go ahead, I don't really know how far into the future, maybe another 10-20 years, and see if they make it in the Premier League, see if they can be successful. But I'm also potentially just going to keep giving them more cash, more Sugar Daddy owners, and probably big reputation boosts as well, because I want to see this experiment be a success for the first time in quite a few years. The last few versions of this experiment have just kind of trailed off with a team generally getting stuck in the Championship, not even in the Premier League. So we want to see something a little bit different this time, and hopefully Scott Parker is the man to do that. But right now let's go ahead 10 years into the future to 2046 and see if Maidstone United have made it up into the Premier League. Well, we are 10 years into the future and we're going to very quickly run through this on a season by season basis. You can see in the Championship they actually did really well, and I think they may well have got promoted looking at how well that went. And there you go, straight up into the Premier League. A lot of defeats on the screen here, a little unbeaten run through December, but it didn't particularly go well for them. They found themselves back down into the Championship. Again though, a really good run, also making it to the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. Be nice to see them win a cup trophy, but beaten in the playoff final by QPR. The next year, again, pretty good run in the Championship, made it to the playoffs once more, and this time they beat Brentford 1-0, 90,000 fans at Wembley, 111th minute goal, getting them back into the Premier League, where they didn't win a game until the last match of October. So not a great start out of both cups in the first round, and stayed up somehow. That did not look like a safe season. That's got to be some sort of record low. We'll check on the table in a little bit. But the next year it didn't get much better. Decent cup run though, to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, beaten on penalties by Brighton. That's got to be their best run in the FA Cup. But it did lead to them going back down to the Championship, that poor league performance. But again, another good run in the Championship, made it back into the Premier League. You might see this West Bromwich Albion-esque up, down, out of the Premier League going on now. But they will start to solidify if they have more money. You can see straight back down into the Championship again, but good opportunity to get a lot of wins under their belt. Decent FA Cup run as well, and then back in the Premier League once more. That looked like a survival season to me, and indeed it was. So they've managed to stay up yet again. If we just have a look at some of those more recent seasons, maybe start off when they got up the first time, which I think was this year, when they got relegated by a point. Just behind Everton. They came back up. It took them a couple of seasons, didn't it? And there they are, 17th. They stayed up by 1 point that season and then got relegated violation of budget rules, knocking 5 points off them. So they finished with just 21 points. It would have been only 26 even without the points deduction. And then they came up again, got relegated by 3 points, back up again, and there they are finishing with 35. So 6 points clear of the relegation zone there. But they have had their troubles. If we just have a look at their general information here, look at that yo-yo up and down out of the leagues. Their facilities though look pretty decent at this point. Superb training facilities, state-of-the-art youth facilities, and a new 23,000 seater stadium built in 2039, just 6 years ago there. So they have been doing well on that front. If we look at their transfer history, you can see they've got decent budget and wage budget available, and look at the money that they've spent over this time. This was the first season here, just 65 million, then 92, 91, just 12. I think that would have been a championship year, then 64, and then they had, this is probably when they had their points deduction over the budget rules there, spending absolutely nothing, but not learning from their mistakes. They go out, they spend 200 million, then $250 million, then 150 million, then 70 million, and finally they might well be hitting some sort of point of stability, because if we look at the club details here, you can see finances aren't too bad, transfer budget's not too bad, wage budget isn't too bad, no sugar daddy at the moment. I am going to give them a big old boost though. I might even pump this reputation up to 9,000, 9,900, something like that, and we'll see if they can really kick on in the Premier League, and hopefully also make it into Europe. That would be nice. I'd love to see them win something, because other than League 2, I don't think they've actually won anything at all. Let's have a look at their competition history here. No, they won the Championship twice, that's their record, and then a League 2 title. Not much in league football over the period and the amount of money that they've spent. If we look at their finances, I mean, look at this. Huge amounts of money. I've given them a couple of injections to try and get them going, but it's just not happening, and they're going to fail all of their financial fair play as well, because I keep pumping money into them and maxing their wage budgets out. They just don't make that much money on a season by season basis. I mean, last season just 85 million. It's not a lot. You break that out over 12 months, you're looking at 3-4 million a month, which isn't a wage budget for a European team in the Premier League these days. So let's give them another big boost to their income and reputation. Let's go forward a few more years and let's see if we can give them finally some success on the pitch. Well, we are a few years into the future now. We're going to very quickly run through the last few years that we've got with Maidstone. We're into 2053 at this point, but you can see they did get relegated again down to the Championship, and then had a near impeccable season to come up as champions. Better time in the Premier League this time around, out in the 5th round of the FA Cup, but nice little 9 points in their last 3 games, definitely keeping them up. Another decent season, a good January in there as well, a good end to the season as well. So you can see they're pumping up the table a little bit, and this is much better. Look at all this green on the screen. A 2-0 away win against Arsenal in there as well, beating Liverpool, Chelsea and United all 3 games in a row. That's a great run, and it did get them into Europe for the first time. Look at that, into the Euro Cup, or Europa League I assume this is. They got out the group. I mean, look at that start to the season. That's beautiful. Just a 3-0 defeat away to Arsenal. But other than that, they've really just done very, very well. Trailed off a little bit, but not many defeats in there. They also managed to make it into the semi-finals of the Europa League. They beat Leeds 3-1 at home, but then a 4-1 defeat in the reverse. A man getting sent off did not help their cause. Meant that they failed to make it to the final. The next season, in the Champions League for the first time. So you can see they're really kicking on now. Into the Carabao Cup quarter-finals, but beaten by Arsenal. They beat Hoffenheim in the first leg of their Champions League game, and then 2-0 away, so into the quarter-finals, 3-0 against Ajax, beaten 2-1 at home, but they still made it to the Champions League semi-finals in their first season in the Champions League. 2-2 draw with Everton at home. That looks like a tasty game there. And in the reverse, away from home, they won 3-2 in the Champions League semi-final at Goodison Park. An 84th minute winner from Dennis Moens, I assume he's Belgian there, made it into the final of the Champions League, where they won 1-0 against Bayern Munich. They've won the Champions League. I have a good feeling about the Premier League as well. Let's just have a quick look at that. They've done the double. Premier League and Champions League in the 2053 season. They've only gone and done it. 84 points, not a massive total. They finished runner-up by 3 goals this season before that. I mean, I didn't think they'd win the Premier League because it didn't seem like a 90-point plus season, but they did it on 78 points there, finishing second. 5th the season before that, but you can see this little progression up the table, getting better every year since that very good championship run. 12th, 10th, 5th, 2nd by 3 goals. Look at that, 15 draws, only 2 defeats all season. That's impressive, really. Liverpool lost a lot, 8 games, but 3 goals was all it took for Liverpool to take the title there. And then look at that in the final season. I just want to check, actually, if we go back the season before, what happened in the final game of the season there? They did beat West Ham 2-1. Yeah, I mean, it was these games here. If they'd beaten Leeds or Wolves, they would have won the title this season earlier, but it's so much more romantic that they came back from the adversity of losing a league title by 3 goals to go and win the Premier League and the Champions League in their final season of this experiment. That is absolutely incredible. Chris Smalling is an icon of a player for them. You've got to love that. I hope that's the actual Chris Smalling. Roy Hodgson in there as well. That's a great list of icons right there. A couple of legends as well. Their chairperson is a legend. I don't think I've ever seen that before. That must be because I kept making them a front-end sugar daddy and they've been in charge the whole time. But they have done well. Timo Pukki, their manager, also a legend for them. But look at that. Look at that incline. Worldwide reputation. Champions League history in there as well. But look at that. Champions League winners. Premier League winners. They've done it all now. No cup competitions in their entire history. Not even down in non-league. The Conference League Cup in 1985 they were runners-up in. But all their facilities now excellent as well. Another new stadium, 22,000, currently reduced because they're expanding it by 10,000 as English and European champions. I mean, that's a fantastic way to end this experiment, really. I mean, you can see how much money I put into the club over the last few years. I kept boosting that up. They are going to fail financial fair play again, though. So they're facing a ban at some point because they're spending over the wage limit here as well of 6 million. So that's pretty impressive. Quick look at that squad actually as well. Look at the value in that squad. They've gone all out, and you can see as well in their transfer history, huge amounts of money. 284 million, 168, 294 transfer ban, $500 million spent in one summer. I mean, they spent a lot to get there. They've spent billions to get there. But I think this is probably the first time that this experiment has ended with the Premier League and European champions. I'm pretty sure nobody's ever won the Champions League. Somebody who has been following the channel for a while might be able to tell me down below. But this has got to be the most successful non-league experiment that I've done so far. If you did enjoy that experiment, do drop a like down below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. Uploads are going to be a little bit less frequent this season because I don't want to go out too much on pumping out the content and then burning out. I want to try and be a little bit consistent through the year. But let me know if you've got ideas for experiments down in the comments. And until next time, see ya.